Well, welcome back to Dad's Shed. I'm going to do this very briefly because I've still not really got into doing much, and I've been away for a week with the children and the family for half term. But I've come back, and as you'll notice in another short video in a minute, that I've been doing a little bit of work on my tool and cutter grinder, and it raised one point which I actually came across not that long ago, and that is spanners and nuts. Cheers. And I have here a selection of the spanners that I use in the shed, and you may wonder why I've actually got a set of calipers here. Well, that will become clear in a minute. Now, in the UK, we regularly use an eclectic mix of nuts and bolts and different sizes. We are a metric country now, allegedly. And on the right here I have this set of spanners and bolts. There I have a 12mm bolt and an 8mm, and the 8mm bolt, the head size is 13mm across the flats, and the 12mm is 19mm across flats, and I've got a 17mm there, and this is 1918, what have you. So bear in mind that 19mm is almost identical to 3/4 of an inch, and 13 is only very slightly above the 12.7mm, which is ½ inch, and you'll see that we have a few areas where things cross over, and 15mm is very, very close to 5/8. So we come across here, and I've got a 5/8 spanner, a 7/16 and ½ inch spanner, a 9/16 and 5/8 spanner, a ½ inch, and then I have 4 others which I'll come to in just a moment. Now, all of these are based around one simple thing, which is, if I take the 5/8 here, and I'll use my calipers and I'll go across there, and it's in metric, that reads at 16.04. 16.04 millimeters. Or if I hit the button on there, 6.320, which is slightly over what it should be. But that is 5/8, and the measurement is across the flats. That has nothing to do with the size of the bolt, it's the size of the bolt head. And that is the same for metric and imperial. Well, American imperial. Because the Americans, using imperial inch sizes, 5/8, ½ 9/16, absolutely normal, isn't it? And they will fit the heads of UNC or UNF bolts, which my Colchester down there uses. The Myford doesn't, that's a bit older, and my tool and cutter grinder and the mill all use Imperial, but not this Imperial, that Imperial. And what I have here is a 5/8 Imperial spanner and a 5/8 Imperial spanner. You may notice they are slightly different. And the 5/8 Imperial spanner has a cross flats dimension of 1.109 inches, so 28 mil. So a 5/8 Whitworth Imperial nut is just over an inch, or 28 millimeters, across the flats. This does confuse people sometimes, because the sizing on Whitworth, BSF, British Standard Fine, or other British Imperial sizes, including brass and what have you, are not based on the head across flats dimensions, but are based on the dimensions of the bolt. And if it worked the same in metric, then a metric 12mm spanner would be 19 millimeters across the flats. Because what was done by Josiah Whitworth when he designed the Whitworth system is that he designed what they calculated to be the best size heads for the size of bolt. So it didn't just go to the nearest inch size, or quarter inch or eighth. They literally went to the size that you wanted it to be for the best size. When British Standard Fine came out, which was a much finer thread, you didn't need quite so much torque to do it up. So you will find, and this is a rather nice King Dick spanner, 9/16 one end, 5/8 the other end, but it's double marked. This is 9/16 Whitworth bolt, but 5/8 BSF, and the other end is 5/8 Whitworth, 11/16 BSF, because the BSF head size was smaller than the Whitworth size. A little later on they standardised everything post World War II, I think, or during World War II, so that the Whitworth and the BSF sizes were the same in terms of the spanner flats. So that is where people do get confused. If I pick up a 1/4 inch Whitworth spanner, that is very slightly larger than 13 mil. It's a bit wobbly in there. So people do find that confusing. So I thought I would just do a very quick update for those who may not get involved in old English stuff. But if you come across an old English motorbike, pre-1970 probably, or an old English machine tool, almost certainly the sizes of the bolts are Whitworth or British Standard Fine. You'll find that marked up as BSW or BSF, and they will have Whitworth sized heads. And if you can find a spanner from SAE or metric to fit, it will not fit very well. So Whitworth spanners are very, very useful. The other odd one, which I'll just mention, is British Standard Cycle, which uses Whitworth sized heads, but the thread is a common pitch, 26 TPI, but it is not Whitworth form, which is 55-degree thread angle. It is a 60-degree thread angle, very, very similar to UNC, UNF. So that can be very confusing, because on English motorbikes they quite often used British Standard Cycle, which looks like a metric or a UNC thread, but it isn't. It's a constant pitch thread, but it uses Whitworth standard heads. So that's a little bit of a mix. But yeah, Whitworth and British standard fine. SAE, Imperial across flat spanners and metric. I hope you found that interesting, and hopefully for some people, especially the younger generation, if you start doing work on old stuff and old English stuff, it may help with some of the confusion that arises with spanner sizes. Hope you enjoyed your short visit to Dad's shed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.